Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly flow the days. Seedlings turn overnight to sunflowers, blossoming even as we gaze. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly fly the years. One season following another, laden with happiness and tears.
Dreams. My people know a lot about dreams too. Throughout the history of the Jews, we have dreamed of finding a country where we will be treated with the same respect as other citizens of our country and not be targeted because of our religion. Tragically, religion has often been used as an excuse to hate, disgrace, and destroy people who are different. Surely it was hatred of the Jews, anti-Semitism, that caused the Holocaust, the mass slaughter of the European civilians during World War II. Good evening. I'm Elie Wiesel, a survivor of the Holocaust. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this time in history, the Holocaust was the systemic, state-sponsored persecution and murder of approximately 8 million Jewish men, women, and children by the Nazi regime and its collaborators. The Nazis who came to power in Germany in January 1933 believed that Germans were racially superior and that Jews who were inferior were a threat to the German community. German authorities targeted other groups as well, including gypsies, homosexuals, the disabled, Poles, Russians, communists, socialists, and Jehovah's Witnesses.
For a while, I thought my family and I would escape the Holocaust, but we weren't that lucky. I am Otto Frank. You probably never heard of me, but there's a good chance you have heard of my daughter, Anne Frank. We lived in Amsterdam, Holland. To avoid being picked up by the Nazis when they invaded Amsterdam, my family and I went into hiding in a part of my office building that was walled off and hidden by swinging bookcases. For 2 years, we lived in secret with 7 other people. And with the help of my former employees, we had food and other necessities until, well, my daughter's diary tells our story. She was only 13 when she began writing. Through her diary, we can see what life was like for a girl growing up under the most unimaginable circumstances. How wise and full of hope she was, especially when she was with her friend Peter, who didn't share her optimism. She tried very hard to help him, but...
Look, Peter, the sky. What a lovely, lovely day. Aren't the clouds beautiful? You know what I do when it seems if I can't stand being cooped up for one more minute? I think myself out. I think myself on a walk in the park where I used to go with Pim, where the jonquils and the crocuses and the violets grow down the slopes. You know the most wonderful part about thinking yourself out? You can have it any way you like. You can have roses and violets and chrysanthemums all blooming at the same time. It's funny, I used to take it all for granted, and now I've gone crazy about everything to do with nature. Haven't you?
I've just gone crazy. I think if something doesn't happen soon, if we don't get out of here, I can't stand much more of it.
I wish you had religion, Peter.
No thanks, not me.
Oh, I don't mean that you have to be Orthodox or believe in heaven and hell and purgatory and things. I just mean some religion. Doesn't matter what, just to believe in something. When I think of all that's out there, trees and flowers and seagulls, when I think of the dearness of you, Peter, and the goodness of the people we know, Mr. Crawler, Meep, Dirk, the vegetable man, all risking their lives for us every day. When I think of these good things, I'm not afraid anymore. I find myself
You aren't
and
making
God.
sense.
We're not the only people that's had to suffer. They've always been people that have had to sometimes race, sometimes another, and yet I just
That
don't
doesn't
understand.
make me feel any better.
it's terrible trying to have any faith when people are doing such horrible. But you know what I sometimes think? I think the world may be going through a phase, the way I was with Mother. It'll pass. Maybe not for hundreds of years, but someday I still believe, in spite of everything, that people are really good at heart.
I want to see something now, not from 1,000 years from now.
But Peter, if you only look at it as part of a great pattern, that we're just a little minute in this life. Listen to us, going at it like a couple of stupid grown-ups. Look at the sky now. Isn't it lovely? Someday when we're outside again, I'm going to...
Open up. Open up in there.
Peter, you go ahead. I'll be with you in a minute. Oh, dear diary, I must get my diary. No, no, dear diary, I can't take you with me. I have to leave you here. I'll leave it under a chair, and I pray that our dear neighbor will find you and keep you safe from me.
We were betrayed. Our secret hiding place was discovered. We were arrested and sent to concentration camps. My dear daughters, Anne and her sister, and my wife all died in the concentration camp in 1945. I was lucky. I was freed by the Russians in 1945. Thankfully, our kind neighbor did find Anne's diary and kept it safe. You can't imagine how I felt when our neighbor placed it in my hands. It was all that I had left of my daughter, my family. You may know our story as The Diary of Anne Frank, which was published in 1947. I've been told it's the most well-known personal memoir of the Holocaust.
It's not so hard to understand the enduring appeal of Anne's diary. Anne is somebody with whom all young people can identify. Many of her teenage dreams, aspirations, and worries are similar to others her age, regardless of religion or nationality. So, what terrible thing did she do to deserve her death? Nothing. And that is the point. If this sweet, idealistic young woman could become a victim of prejudice for no reason other than her religion, is anybody safe? By the end of World War II, the toll had risen to 6 million Jews, which included 1.5 million children who perished at the hands of the Nazis. When the killing ended, those who survived were released from the concentration camp and came out of hiding. I was one of those people. Here is my story. When the German soldiers occupied my hometown in Romania in March 1944, they forced us to wear yellow stars. The Nazis closed out Jewish stores, raided our house, and forced us into 2 ghettos. In early June, my family and I were among the last Jews to be loaded into a cattle car with 80 people in one car. After 4 days, the train stopped at Auschwitz. I was 15. My father and I were sent to be slave laborers. My mother and younger sister were taken to the gas chambers. My father and I survived first Auschwitz and then the Buna labor camp for 8 months, enduring beatings, hunger, other torture, and roll calls, and witnessed hangings. Like other inmates, I was stripped of my identity and became known only by my number, A7713. For years, I couldn't talk or write about my experiences, but eventually, I was persuaded to break my silence and write about what I endured as an inmate in the Holocaust. I remember writing, "Never shall I forget that night, the first night in camp, which has turned my life into one long night. Times cursed, 7 times sealed. Never shall I forget that smoke.
Never shall I forget
The little faces of the children whose bodies I saw turned into the wreaths of smoke beneath a silent blue sky.
Never shall I forget.
Those flames which consume my faith forever.
Never shall I forget.
That nocturnal silence which deprived me for all eternity of the desire to live.
Never shall I forget.
Those moments which murdered my God and my soul and turned my dreams to dust.
Never shall I forget.
These things, even if I am condemned to live as long as God himself, never.
Elie Wiesel, a Nobel Peace Prize winner and professor, could have easily remained angry at the world and spent his life on acts of revenge. Instead, he used his personal experience of the Holocaust and his talents as an author, teacher, and storyteller to work on behalf of oppressed people and defend human rights and peace throughout the world. I have the greatest respect for this courageous man and his mission. I'm Laura Z. Hobson, and I also wrote about the Nazis, but I am known for my book, which later became a movie called Gentleman's Agreement. As a journalist, it occurred to me that while many people know about the atrocities that took place in Europe during World War II, not many people, especially young people, knew about the anti-Semitism that existed in America. So in Gentleman's Agreement, my leading character is a Christian who, as a journalist, has been assigned a series of articles about anti-Semitism.
I'm Philip Green, journalist, and it occurred to me that the best way for me to do my research and find out if anti-Semitism was really a problem in the United States was to pretend to be a Jew. What did I learn from this experience? I learned that anti-Semitism was very real and very active, even in places like New York City and in the affluent community of Darien, Connecticut. Acting as a Jew, I discovered how it feels to be a victim of religious intolerance. When I used the Jewish name I chose for myself to register at a hotel, the hotel suddenly ran out of rooms. When I tried to put my Jewish name on my mailbox, the mailman suggested that I omit my last name altogether. When my son Tommy was playing with other children, they told him that no dirty Jew could play with them. Did those children even know what a Jew was? As it turned out, even the people closest to me, including my fiancée, Kathy, disappointed me. To be quite honest, I don't think she was actually anti-Semitic. I think she, like a lot of people, just didn't know what to do when she was in a social situation and friends were saying things that were clearly anti-Semitic. But she wanted to learn. When the two of us argued over my research project, she called on Dave Goldman, a Jewish friend of mine, to get some advice.
Dave, I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer me honestly.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Do you think I'm anti-Semitic?
No, Kathy, I don't.
Phil does.
Does he?
You know I'm not anti-Semitic. You're a Jew and you know it. Why can't I make it clear to everybody but Phil? Did you know I was the one who suggested the series he's doing on anti-Semitism?
No, I didn't.
I hate this thing as much as he does. Why can't he see it? At a dinner at the country club, an old friend, Robert Jenkins, told a horrible joke. I was sick with shame.
What kind of a joke? I can take curse words.
Oh, all right. The joke was about a Jewish businessman, and Robert tried to get lost with words about Jews that weren't nice. They were insulting. I despised him and everybody else.
What did you do when Robert told the joke?
What do you mean?
I mean, what did you say when he was finished?
I wanted to yell at Robert. I wanted to leave. I wanted to say to everyone, why are you telling such a terrible story? Why are you making fun of Jews? And why is everybody laughing at this stupid joke? This is not right.
What did you do?
I just sat there. I felt ashamed. We all just sat there. I felt sick.
I wonder if you feel so sick now, Kathy. If you had said something. There's a funny kind of pleasure that comes from getting back, telling people who think they are so wonderful that their words are hurtful, inappropriate, and their behavior makes them look bad.
I understand what you're saying, but it's so hard with friends, people you've known for years.
Lots of things are hard, Kathy, but you really have to believe that prejudice is wrong. You just can't sit there. Behind that joke, there's lots of hate and tolerance for people who are different.
And if you don't stop with that joke, where do you stop? Is that what you mean?
That's right. If you don't say stop, I don't want to hear such hateful things. Who will speak up? It has to start with you, with me, with each of us. It takes courage. But if we don't stand up for others, who will stand up for us?